Hey, what's up? This is Matt Dietz, and this is Agency Launch. This is the show where I talk about running an insurance agency. I talk about sales and marketing strategies for insurance agents. I talk about staffing for insurance agents. I talk about retention and customer service for insurance agents. One of the most popular questions that I get right now is, hey, Matt, I know I'm supposed to quote a certain amount of people every day. How do I find people to quote? Well, if you text me right now to 208-213-8809, I have an asset pulled directly from my masterclass that I'm giving out for free. Text me 20 policies to 208-213-8809, and I will show you how to write 20 policies this week. On with the show. Are you dying for something to be easy? Does everything seem just that much harder these days? Do you hate accord forms every time you want to apply for something? I've got something to make your life a little bit easier. I want to introduce you to Brightco. Brightco is an online jewelry insurance company that has made buying insurance for your jewelry so easy. You can get a quote in like 2 minutes. You answer 6 questions. You can do the quote. You can bind it. You're going to be done before you even know that you started. Brightco will manage all payments, claims, reporting, and commissions all on this slick portal. And in a world where our tech feels clunky and lethargic, it is a breath of fresh air to have something modern at our fingertips that make our lives easier and our customers' lives easier. So go to bright.co/Matt Dietz. That's brite.co/MATTDIETZ to learn more, and go right to that site to get appointed. Let's go. Hey, what's up? All right, so recently I did a podcast on stop looking for doing things the easy way when it comes to marketing, right? Stop looking for the easy way to do it. Quit sitting behind your desk and lobbing emails and sending texts when we should just be having conversations with people. I'm going to flip the script on you here a little bit. I'm going to tell you to look for the easy when it comes to having those conversations with prospects and when you're going through the sales process, okay? Your job is to make this process easy for your client. All right. You don't, and I want you to think about the language that you use when you are describing or you're selling your product to somebody. Okay. One of my favorite examples of this, I'm a huge fan of The Office. Okay. So if you remember the episode where there's a surplus and Michael Scott is told by Oscar, he's like, hey, Oscar's like, we have a surplus. And what that means is, we have more money to spend. Okay, we have to spend the money or the company's going to give us less money next year because they know now that you can run this branch on less money. So we have the money, we have to spend the money. And Michael Scott's like, all right, so I totally understand what you're saying, but can you explain it to me like I'm a 10-year-old? And Oscar goes into this explanation where it's like a lemonade stand. He goes, okay, now explain it to me like I'm 5. It's hilarious. I want you to think about that in a way when you're giving your sales presentation about the products that we sell, okay? Whether that's home, auto, commercial, life, whatever. I want you to dumb it down for your client, not in a condescending way, but in a way that's going to make them understand everything that you're talking about, okay? Don't use language that only people in our industry know, okay? Like, how many people do you know, like, can explain, outside of our industry, can explain what an umbrella policy does, or what backup sewer and drain does, or what personal property means, or what business personal property means, or what loss of use means, or rental reimbursement, like all of these terms that we have. We understand them. All right, or you're learning them right now, but you want to explain it to somebody. I think a good analogy is like explain it like you're explaining it to your sister, okay? Use simple language. Stories are really good here too. I always use stories when I'm selling our product, okay? So for example, when I'm discussing what liability is, so many clients think, Well, I don't need a lot of liability because my car's not worth that much money. Oh, that's obviously that's nothing to do with liability, right? That is a common thing that you will hear though. Say, all right, let me tell you what liability is, okay? Liability, the way I explain liability is like, look, I tell a quick story. I said, look, liability covers two things, okay? It covers property and it covers medical expenses. So if you are in an at-fault accident and you are found liable, like I used that language, now they're starting to connect the dots. They're like, oh, for liability, I have to be liable. I have to be at fault. Right. If you're the one holding the ticket after the accident and you are found liable, right? If you're holding the ticket, you're the one that broke the law, okay? How much damage did you cause? All right, how much damage did you cause to the car that you hit? Or the telephone pole that you hit? Or the building that you hit? That's what property damage is. And how much do we have to pay in medical bills for the people that you injured, right? So everybody can understand that, okay? So when you're talking, use simple language, use simple stories, okay? And then when you jump to the umbrella policy in your presentation, excuse me, you want to say, hey, remember when we were talking, because I do umbrella at the end. Remember when we were talking about liability? Okay, remember what liability is? Yeah, okay. If you run out of liability, okay, if you run out of this $500,000 worth of liability, and I use language like because somebody's life is about to change, okay, you hurt them very badly. Maybe you hit a child on a bike, okay, and it paints a picture for them, right? Like, oh my God, that would be terrible. You know, what if somebody is paralyzed? What if they lose a limb? What if they died? Okay, $500,000 will probably not be enough, you know, to take care of a claim like that, and that's what the umbrella is for. It's backup liability, all right? Simple language. If this policy is exhausted and all the money is spent and they need more money, they got to get it from somewhere. Do you want them to get that money from you personally, or do you want them to get it from this umbrella policy? Okay. So you want to use really simple language. Same with when you're talking about like a homeowner's policy. Okay. How much personal property do you need? Like, don't say that. Okay. Explain what personal property is. Personal property is everything that you would take with you if you moved. And like they immediately picture themselves moving and packing up all their stuff and putting it in a truck, all the stuff in the moving truck. That's your personal property. If that truck exploded, you know, or whatever, how much would it cost to get all your stuff back, right? Make it simple for them, okay? That's what I'm talking about when it comes to using simple language. You know, loss of use. Nobody knows what loss of use means on a homeowner's policy. What's loss of use mean? Well, if you have to live someplace else while your home is being fixed or rebuilt, this will pay for food and shelter for you. Okay, so simple language is what we're aiming for here with this kind of stuff. You don't need to use big words and institutional language to position yourself in a place to be the expert in your field. What makes you the expert in the field is if you can take this language and make it relatable to the people that you're selling to, okay? They're going to be grateful for you because they don't want to feel stupid, all right? They don't want to feel like if you talk to them in our language and they don't ask questions, they might not ask questions because they're embarrassed to ask questions. They may feel like, oh, I should probably know what personal property means, or I should know what loss of use means. You don't want to put yourself in a position like you want to come across like you know what you're talking about, but where you come across really as the expert is if you can take all this complicated language and all of this stuff and you can relate it in a way so that they can understand it immediately. This is where we've really succeeded in helping in selling more policies, because if you can do this right and you can do it properly, they will understand, and you're going to explain this product to them in a way that has never been explained to them before. And the customer really appreciates it. I cannot tell you how many times in my career I have done a simple 5-minute explanation of what an auto policy is, what a home policy is, what all of the coverages do in a way that they can understand it. And I can't tell you how many times people have come back to me and said, oh my God, nobody has ever explained it like that to me. Thank you so much. I totally understand it. Don't go up to someone and be like, how much dwelling coverage do you need on your house? They might be like, what are you talking about? Like, well, dwelling is how much, if your house were to burn down today, what would it cost to rebuild it, right? And so that's the language that we're trying to use. They're like, oh, well, they can come up with a number on the spot. But if you just threw dwelling number at them, they might think the land is included in that. Well, I just bought this house for $700,000, so I probably need $700,000 worth of dwelling. No. So you be the expert. I want you to go through your pitch today, and I want you to figure out how to explain this stuff in a way that people can understand it. I want you to practice it. Do it with a friend or family member or whatever. But I want you to break down your sales process in a way that's easier to understand. Life insurance is the same way. Make it easy for them to understand. That's a tough product, especially when you're talking about permanent life insurance. What about commercial? I mean, you've got 25 to 30 different coverages inside of a commercial policy. How can you make it sound easy for them? Same with some of the paperwork that we have them sign. We have a piece of paper that we have them sign that is ridiculous. It's called a subscription agreement. And I didn't understand what it meant when I first saw it. It's this massive lawyered up document that is like a page and a half long, and it's impossible for anyone to understand it. Even the agent, back in the day when we were getting wet signatures on pieces of paper, we'd throw this document in front of them, just sign this, and we'd sign it. But 1 out of every 20 people would be like, all right, like, what is this? What am I signing? And so I had to do research. I had to talk to someone, and someone explained it to me in a way where I was able to say, look, this signature, when you sign this document, you are authorizing me to service your policy. And that was it. Like, that's how we described what a subscription agreement was. Behind the scenes, my company is made up of like a holding company and another company. And what this document did was it bridged the gap between the two. The policy lived in like the holding company, and in order for the other side of the company to have access to this, we needed a signature to bridge that. They don't give a crap about that, right? This allows me to service your policy. And like, okay, cool. And they would sign it. Okay, so I'm just going to encourage you to go through your pitch and make things simple. Okay, I do another podcast called Simply Explaining Insurance. Check it out if you get a chance. You want to hear me break down all of our products and all of the endorsements and everything inside of it in a way that's easy to understand. That's the tagline for my show. Okay, it's called Simply Explaining Insurance. So I'm going to encourage you to do that. It'll make you more relatable to your clients. You don't want to come across smarter. You don't want to talk down on them. You don't want them to feel demeaned because, you're using big words. And don't use acronyms, sign this ICE form or, don't do that. Try not to use institutional language when you're discussing this stuff with people because it's going to make them feel dumb. And you just want them to know what's going on. Okay. So that's what I got for you today. Hey, my name's Matt. This is Agency Launch. You can find me all over the place. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Deets Agency. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. Don't forget to get into my texting community at 208-213-8809 and text me 20 policies. I'll send you a resource that will help you sell 20 policies in 1 week. It'll help you fill your pipeline quickly. All right. Thank you so much for listening and keep up the good work.